I was in the same tier, the same cell that Epstein was on. And Suge, there's no way in hell that that guy could have committed suicide on that tier. I was in there for 7 months. There's no way.
Ever since Oprah opened up this South African school for girls in 2007, all type of crazy, spooky, creepy, nasty stuff has been happening.
Then, in another incident that happened in 2011, law enforcement investigated the body of a newborn that was found in one of the students' bags.
I eat How old are you?
12.
Oh, okay. Only to 10.
Okay,
that's good.
Yes.
That's good.
Children and pineapple.
Pancake is to have the consistency of young human flesh.
It's spongy, it has life to it.
You're with a guy with brightly colored undergarments, and you got soft human flesh in front of you. You're in a weird place.
I'm looking forward to this. This is really, really going to be.
Do you know what the number one job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is?
What?
Is to act like it didn't happen. They all do the same job.
Katt Williams was correct once again, and he truly beat the feds to expose the celebs who are playing right in our faces. And with the Epstein files out, we finally know which stars are in genuine trouble, even the ones y'all said were innocent and couldn't harm a fly.
Right, I'm saying, but these Epstein-like characters have existed throughout history, whether they were kings or what.
Katt certainly opened the floodgates to Hollywood becoming exposed when he appeared on Club Shay Shay, and by the looks of it, he isn't stopping down anytime soon. Now, when the Epstein files leaked, a lot of people were in tremendous denial because they didn't want to accept that their beloved celebs were just as filthy as these politicians we've been side-eyeing for years. Take Jay as an example. He was incriminated in the files when an anonymous victim claimed him, but his followers were stating there was no way he was dealing with Epstein since the alleged essay occurred in 1996. And in 1996, he was only beginning his career as a rapper in Hollywood. The woman stated she woke up in a room with Weinstein and Jay-Z, with Weinstein placing his fingers in areas they had no business being. And reportedly, Pusha T was the one who enabled all this. Now, even though many think Jay was too fresh in the field to be connected with these elites, that's really not the complete picture. Yes, he was a rookie rapper in the business in 1996, but that doesn't mean he didn't already have industry ties. Those are two completely distinct things. In fact, from the way Jay-Z was moving purposely back in '96 as a so-called young rapper, there are also videos of him with Weinstein, in which it actually appears like Weinstein is his manager or something.
Wanted to be able to be in control so I could manage what was going to happen in their lives.
The queen of media herself, Oprah Winfrey, is finally next on the chopping block. And based on what's making the rounds, Oprah discovered, or rather she was exposed to how individuals genuinely obtain power in Hollywood. So what exactly does Oprah know? Does she have any ties to the island? Was she a supplier? Is there truly a dungeon she owns where sacrifices happen?
I was foolish to spend time with him. I was one of many people who regret ever knowing him. You know, every minute I spent with him, I regret and I apologize that I did that.
I also met Jeffrey Epstein exactly one time. I regretted it from the second I stepped in the door. I had nightmares about it afterwards.
So you're sitting down there having cocktails while Bill Clinton's getting a massage from some girl who's rubbing her tits against the back of his head, whether knowingly or unknowingly having sex with underage girls.
Everybody wants
maybe some guys, that was their thing.
Sure.
Because it seemed like with Epstein, that was his thing.
Yeah.
Well, reportedly, Samuel L. Jackson has got the tea.
I remember there was a sign on the wall in the Die Hard office that I never forgot. It said, "Be careful of the toes you step on today, for they could be connected to the ass you have to kiss tomorrow."
I'm sure he would know what goes on in such circles, considering that he has been in the business for like 5 decades, been on the Oprah Winfrey Show several times, and has been seen at different Hollywood events. Okay, people, one thing you should know is that despite the vast quantity of Epstein papers revealed by the courts in 2024 and 2025, Oprah's name does not appear as a co-conspirator or a passenger on his Lolita Express private plane. But Oprah's name appeared in the files. 1. Because Sarah Ferguson, the former Duchess of York, wrote Epstein in 2011 to seek for advice on how to conduct an impending appearance on Oprah's program. There have been some additional references which I can't verify, such a purported email from Deepak Chopra that claimed to inquire if he should invite Woody and Oprah. Then there's another email from a redacted source that reportedly indicated she is being shielded under Oprah's wing. After her interview, Oprah thought she had ability and expertise that could be exploited on her network. No one knew about it, and we were keeping it secret until things calmed. Think the leak is from former personnel. Sex travels to LA today or tomorrow. Hope for the future, but we wait and see. Now, regardless of whether she was listed by Epstein himself, what people have been saying is that Oprah was always in close proximity to people listed in the files and has been photographed frequently over the years with other disgraced figures accused of similar crimes like Harvey Weinstein, Sean Diddy Combs, John of God, Bill Cosby, and the list is endless. Basically, detractors contend that as one of the most influential women in the media, she must have known what was going in those circles.
Trial of a former dormitory matron charged with abusing 6 students at Oprah Winfrey School for Girls in South Africa.
Please come forward.
In fact, some people feel that she's just as nasty as everyone who has been implicated, and she may even have been one of the providers. There have been charges here and there regarding Oprah, including rumors that she was part of the Wayfair story about selling furniture with missing persons in it at extremely high rates. Apparently, most of the cabinets were being sold for up to $10,000, and they contain names related with known missing individuals such as Naria, Yuritsa, Sayama, and Olivia. And by paying $10,000, you weren't purchasing a cabinet, but the person whose name was given to it. There were even folks who mentioned that they were shopping for furniture on Wayfair a few years ago, and recalled seeing horribly awful vintage furniture but didn't pay attention to the names. However, they were surprised that anybody would spend $10,000 for such a thing, since the price was extremely excessive. Shortly after that, a lady came out and stated she worked at Wayfair at one point, and things at greater costs were exclusively handled by particular persons in higher positions at Wayfair. Based on what was being said, the cabinets were the ones being utilized for transportation by the likes of Oprah Winfrey. There were even stories at some time saying that Oprah was under house arrest for unlawful transportation of the missing individuals. However, Wayfair noted that they were enormous, heavy-duty industrial cabinets suited for schools or hospitals. When an item was virtually out of stock or there was a pricing mistake in the automated system, the algorithm typically spiked the price to an outlandish amount to discourage purchase while keeping the listing current for SEO reasons. They also asserted that they employed a vast database of thousands of first names to mark their items, since it's simpler than coming up with unique serial numbers for every rug, pillow, and cabinet. Let's just say that folks have a hard time trusting that explanation, and to today they still feel that something nefarious was going on and that Oprah was involved. Add to it the fact that the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa did endure a true crisis of sexual assault in 2007. At the time, Oprah rushed to South Africa immediately, apologized to the girls, and apparently cleaned house. While the matron was subsequently cleared of the criminal charges, the episode is typically regarded as proof of something more nefarious. Speaking of schools, does anyone know what happened to the ones that went missing from Oprah's school in Haiti? Very strange, right? Even though Oprah has not been directly involved in the Epstein files, others still argue that she is guilty by association. Think about it. Oprah was a close friend and supporter of so many discredited celebrities before their downfalls, and there have been countless images of them being quite cordial. Because she was usually in the same social circles as these men, many believe she was engaged in whatever they did. Like, we're meant to think that the lady who could smell out a bogus memoirist like James Frey from across a stage was somehow entirely blind to Harvey Weinstein, despite being pictured literally glued to his hip at every gala for 20 years. It's almost poetic that she spent decades urging us to trust our intuition and live our best lives, while her own gut obviously went on vacation every time she shared a private flight or a front row seat with all these individuals who have been exposed over the years.
Let me just get real and say,
if I gun to your head, what do you think your best assessment of what Epstein, who was Epstein, who was he working for?
Well, I don't know, right? So I'm just guessing. Everybody wants to say he was working for the Mossad. He very well could have been. He could have been working for the CIA. He could have been a guy who was on his own but also working with them, right? Like a guy that they used but they never fully endorsed.
Like an asset?
Yeah. And a guy who could move money around.
Right.
He definitely...
Good at laundering money.
The moving money around stuff was very weird because he had money through no way that anybody could ever explain.
Yeah.
He had an enormous amount of money through no way that nobody could ever explain. which, you know, if you're you're funded by Israel, and Israel's funded by America, and, you know, there's also NGOs and nonprofits, and there's ways to move money around where you can give this guy money.
Yeah.
So he was like, Weinstein, who is an economist, right? Weinstein's a legitimate mathematician.
Eric?
Yeah. So when Eric met him, his first inclination was he was a fraud.
He's a construct.
Yeah, a construct. And did he tell you the whole story about the girl sitting on his lap?
Yep.
So Epstein, while he's meeting with Eric Weinstein for the first time, has a beautiful girl sitting on his lap, and a woman. I shouldn't say girl. He said she was like in her 20s, and she's sitting on his lap, and he's bouncing around, so her tits are juggling around while
he's asking math questions.
Yeah, talking serious. So he was obviously nerd fishing.
How is it that everybody she likes and encourages has been embroiled with similar allegations? And honestly, if y'all think it's far-fetched, here's another example of someone Oprah has highly endorsed. Deepak Chopra, who is in the files. There's an email from Deepak to Epstein in the archives where he says, "I don't know, the tiger is transporting me to areas I had abandoned. It appears like the MGH/Harvard Chopra Mind Brain Institute will really exist, which means riding the tiger even more. I've desired affirmation from scientists. Some is occurring, and some will stay perpetually suspicious and condescending. Suddenly it does not seem significant. What do I like most? I don't know that I can fully say. My biological requirements are addressed periodically, but that too appears I've been there, done that. I have 3 more novels to write, and then we'll be done with that as well. I shall be traveling for 1 week of quiet at the end of this month with a small group. Maybe some more clarification then. I definitely appreciate the company of younger, intellectually smart and self-aware ladies and love to connect with them to inspire and excite them." Deepak receives a few comments in the files demonstrating that he was very much involved with Epstein, and several mention Oprah. So again, you understand why people would feel that she was clearly tied to the island or whatever was going on there. Obviously, many assume she's somehow connected, and she's been called out even by other celebs. For instance, in 2018, following Oprah's historic Time's Up speech at the Golden Globes, Seal uploaded a picture of Oprah kissing Harvey Weinstein on the cheek with a comment that dripped with sarcasm, stating, "Oh, I forgot. That's true, you'd heard the stories, but you had no clue he was really serially attacking young starry-eyed actresses. My bad. #sanctimonious Hollywood." Seal was effectively stating that everyone in that inner circle heard the stories, and for someone of Oprah's position to pretend like she was just finding out along with the rest of us seemed like a premeditated PR maneuver. Other than Seal, Rose McGowan, who was one of the major whistleblowers against Harvey Weinstein, also posted a picture of Oprah with Weinstein, calling her as false as they come. I am delighted more are recognizing the harsh reality of it. Oprah, I wish she were real, but she isn't. She is as false as they come, no lizard. Also, in a 2017 complaint, actress Kadian Noble stated that Harvey Weinstein exploited his connection with Oprah and Naomi Campbell to entice her. She stated that witnessing Oprah swinging off his arm at an event made her feel Weinstein was a safe, reputable person to be alone with. What this implies is that Oprah's public acquaintance provided these guys a mark of approval that they used to trap the individuals they took advantage of. There was also Suge Knight, who claimed that Barack Obama and T.D. Jakes went to Diddy parties and that Oprah was purportedly on Epstein's island.
I was in the same tier, the same cell that Epstein was on. And Suge, there's no way in hell that that guy could have committed suicide on that tier. I was in there for 7 months. There's no way.
And coming from you, I know you didn't know the truth. And I personally didn't think he was going to commit suicide. But the thing is, he had from Oprah Winfrey to everybody on that island. You know, anybody with a weird fetish, and that's what underage kids was on that island, and everybody knew it.
Jackson is the next person poised to share what he knows about Oprah and her claimed ties to the island. For background, he is someone who has revealed the cynical business tactics and structural prejudices that he says have afflicted the industry from the inside previously. Having spent almost 50 years in the business, Samuel L. Jackson has transformed from a theatrical actor in the early 1970s to one of the highest-grossing performers of all time, giving him a front-row seat to Hollywood's history and its darker cycles. He has weathered the period of obvious studio gatekeeping, negotiated his own widely publicized struggle with addiction during the crack epidemic of the 80s, and successfully progressed from being a token supporting actor to a power player with the ability to dictate his own terms. So if he claims he knows what's going on, baby, he knows.
Most disturbing problems in our world today is human, and particularly Now, the first step in eradicating this crime is awareness.
He knew, Jazzo and Jay-Z were in London living it big time back in like 88. They were in this huge, I'm born and raised in England, and I never saw an apartment that looked like that in England, or a flat as we call it. I've never seen that.
They lived there for a little bit?
They were there for like, I don't know, 5 months, something like that.
In your thoughts on Donald Trump and what it means for mass incarceration?
You know what? This is a labor of love for Jay, and as a result, he's my friend. We're here to talk about that and nothing else.
Well, then can I ask you about mass incarceration? And do you think the movement is...
I know y'all saw that. Rewatch that and tell me it didn't look like Jay-Z was being handled by Weinstein. Go right ahead, watch it. And to make things even worse, many videos and photographs surfaced of Jay-Z at 2 insane parties. One was a video I can't upload here because of exactly how explicit it is, but it's on Twitter, so anybody who really wants to see it that badly can. But anyway, the video featured Jay-Z in a room with another man while 2 street workers basically touched themselves seductively for their pleasure. The second batch of receipts was these images of him and Harvey during Diddy's 29th birthday celebration. Not only that, this video of Kanye exposing him and Pusha all the way back in 2018 has emerged, and everything Kanye stated still appears to apply to this day.
If you take people like Jay-Z and Pusha T, they made their living our people, so how the f they gonna stand up for our people? You know what I'm saying? But we forget that because we love Jay-Z's music so much. We love Pusha's music so much, right? But you think they would ever, Beyonce had the best fit for somebody else?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You think they would ever tell the truth? No, if they told the truth, they'd go to jail. You know what I'm saying? So you have liars. Liars are now the face of our culture.
As I stated, Katt disclosed a large lot of them previously, and now the files are essentially verifying anything he has been claiming. In reality, Naomi Campbell is one of them, and as predicted, people dragged her for trash. She allegedly made 5 journeys on the Lolita Express between 2001 and 2003. 2 developed in the U.S. Virgin Islands, where Epstein owned his island, reputed to be a site of depravity. A handful of the planes headed to the São Paulo, Brazil region.
I was introduced to him on my 31st birthday by my ex-boyfriend Flavio. He was always front and center at Victoria's Secret shows.
Did you suspect what he was doing?
No. And what he's done is indefensible. And when I heard of what he'd done, it sickened me to my stomach, just like everybody else. Because I've had my fair share of sexual predators, and thank God that I had good people around me that protected me from this. I mean, right now I stand with the victims. They're scarred for life.
There were multiple emails in the files that pointed to her and Epstein evidently strategizing how to get records into the nation for his famed parties. These were referencing back to them and how she was purportedly going to serve him. A number of videos showing her recruiting models also went viral. And according to the streets, this model recruiting activity was actually simply a cover for her to attract additional ladies for these industry predators.
And what do you think she gets out of it? Well, she gets money. When you bring models or people that can easily be manipulated, you get funded. You get funded. How does she own an island being a supermodel? I didn't know she owns an island. Yeah, she owns an island. But this is crime scene investigation. Yeah. But it opens your eyes to things that you never even thought of, and I connect all the dots slowly, but it all makes sense.
Do y'all remember when Bill Gates was asked on national television whether he regretted his association with Epstein? And he said this.
One of the issues that's dogged you is that of your relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Do you regret the relationship that you maintained with him against Melinda's advice and wishes?
Oh, I've said that you're going way back in time, but yeah,
new audience.
I will say for the, over 100th time, I shouldn't have had dinners with him.
Epstein had a way of mentally compromising people. Is that what Melinda was warning you about?
No. I mean, no, I had dinner with him, and that's all.
This individual sat there and stated he merely had dinner with Epstein, but the papers indicate a whole different narrative. It turns out that he and Epstein were pretty close friends, and he was a regular at the island. There was also an email from Bill Gates to Epstein requesting him for medication to give Melinda without her knowing, since he had gotten an STD from Russian females. Fast forward to 2021, she divorced him and walked away with nearly $29.6 billion. And when Melinda came to know about this, she was distraught.
Just unbelievable sadness. Unbelievable sadness, right? And again, I'm able to take my own sadness and look at those young girls and say, my God, how did that happen to those girls, right? It was many things, but I did not like that he'd had meetings with Jeffrey Epstein, no.
And you made that clear to him?
I made that clear to him. I also met Jeffrey Epstein exactly one time.
Did you?
Yes, because I wanted to see who this man was. And I regretted it from the second I stepped in the door. He was abhorrent. He was evil personified. I had nightmares about it afterwards.
And then there's Chris Tucker. His name also cropped up in Epstein's paperwork and flight records, since reportedly he flew aboard Epstein's private plane back in 2002. Yeah, the same plane Epstein was using to go back and forth to his dubious island. Chris and his crew attempted conducting damage management by stating he was only aboard the plane for a humanitarian trip to Africa, focusing on AIDS awareness and charitable work, along with former President Bill Clinton and Kevin Spacey. But nobody was buying that narrative. And it doesn't help that he referenced Bill Clinton either, since we've all seen the new images that were released of him visiting Epstein's estate. And listen, I believe we can all agree he seemed much too comfortable in there not to know what Epstein was up to. Mind you, Chris was among these folks while all this things was going down, but he wants us to assume he had no idea what was occurring.